Hello and welcome everybody to today's CX Midday Spark. And I'm here with one of our main contributors, Jeremy Watkin. And he's actually nothing like some technical difficulties. Oh, I have to share with everybody. So I was mentioning to Jeremy that my main computer where we did our broadcasting, the graphics card crashed last Thursday. And so I'm having to go on and backup. So backups are stumble. And I also mentioned that I'm trying to become a pivot master. So, hey, pivot. All right. So here we go. Jeremy Watkin, who's one of our senior contributors, who has been contributing to the contact center knowledge base and customer experience knowledge base for many, many years with a couple different organizations. And I'm so glad he's here. Jeremy, welcome.
Hey, Jim. It's great to be here. I think we're all awake now.
Sounds good. Hey, and I think this particular discussion that we're going to have today, which is talking about injecting purpose into your QA, hopefully is also a wake-up call. Because for me, what I have seen over the course of the past couple decades in this industry is that I would say every 2 years or so, organizations are redoing their quality assurance programs because some dissatisfaction issue came into play. Things associated with fairness come into play. Objections and escalations become a problem, and it's always a discourse and dissatisfier in so many organizations. And hopefully what you're going to share with us today will give us a chance in order to rectify some of those ills. So if you can share with us how you're going to impact that. But I also, before we do that, want to mention that the CX Midday Spark is part of customerserviceweekly.org, which is powered by the PACE Association and produced by CX Global Media. So Jeremy, what are you going to share with us today?
It's interesting. I think you led into this great, Jim. And to give you a little bit of context, I shared with you that I got hired once to work at a BPO, and my title was head of quality. And I was like, all right, I like some parts of this job, but I'm not sure about this quality thing, which was most of the job, because as a contact center leader, I didn't actually like doing quality assurance very much. And it had a lot to do with understanding the true purpose of quality assurance. And I've seen it more in recent days. I think when I talk to business leaders they'll say things like, my customer satisfaction is really low, or I go read some of my emails that we're sending to customers, and I'm not totally happy with the quality of these. Like, I think we could be taking better care of our customers. You hear that from a business owner. And what's the solution? There's only one solution. The solution is better quality assurance. But what quality ends up being is this checklist that nobody understands what this checklist is helping us to accomplish. And I've worked with teams where they said their quality scores were up in the high 90% range, but then customer satisfaction's at 70%. Sure, there might be other issues going on there, but certainly, like, maybe we could improve the quality of our interactions. So I have 3 ways for you that we can do that.
That's awesome. And I also think it's very, very important to discuss that what you're going to share right here is firsthand knowledge. So let me take a step back. A lot of times what happens is when we get into higher, positions within an organization, or we've been in the industry for a long time, we get further and further away from the actual work that is done on a daily basis. Now, you, for this particular work, actually have been doing the process. You have been interacting and doing the QA process and the call coaching process. And so I think what you have to share is significantly more important than somebody who is 1,000 feet away trying to explain it. So please share with us what you're actually working on right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had kind of jumped into a marketing role for a bit, but now I'm like back in operations, and my team, we just rolled out a new quality process. And our number one focus when we rolled this process out was to connect with our mission. So I'm not going to tell you our whole mission statement, partly because I probably need to do a better job memorizing it. But the big nugget that I hold on to is that we strive to make meaningful connections with our customers. And it really helps us humanize the experience. We offer email only customer support I work for a company called Number Barn, and and we offer email only customer support, and it's darn hard to humanize that interaction. Customers think they're talking with robots, especially if you use canned responses and things like that. So helping the team connect with our mission of making a connection with that customer, we're injecting ourselves into that interaction. And then what's the end result? The end result is, the company is going to be more successful. We will see our customer satisfaction results increase. We'll see things like first contact resolution. Maybe you track NPS. Any of those things, you should be able to move the needle by connecting with that mission. And one really practical thing that a boss helped me kind of connect with this whole mission of connecting quality to customer experience was we actually put customer satisfaction on our quality form, so that every time we're reviewing an interaction, we're putting ourselves in the customer's shoes and thinking, all right, if I were the customer, would I have been satisfied with this? And then getting our team to think about what are the behaviors that I need to do to help the customer be more satisfied, resolve their issue with less effort, things like that. So that was number one. I'll go. So number two, really as an outflow out of that mission, is to set a standard. And the standard is the key behaviors that will help you achieve that mission. So, a lot of quality processes, I've seen quality, I'm sure you have too, Jim. I know you've spent time in the contact center, and we've seen quality processes that are a checklist of 30 plus items. People think we're kidding, but I've seen it. And it's 30 things that an agent needs to remember to do on an interaction. Otherwise, if they don't do them, they potentially fail. And but what we're doing is maybe being a little bit minimalistic. We're thinking about those behaviors that are actually going to move the needle on customer satisfaction. We ended up with like 8, which feels pretty good. Obviously, it creates some kind of big buckets, but I think that's a big thing. So you set a standard, and you really want to help them achieve that standard, and they see it as achieving the mission, so they understand why those behaviors are so important. Then the third thing, the last thing to inject purpose into your quality program is to ditch those quality scores. And I say in parentheses, sort of, scores are important, but and this is where, for me, I've actually spent some time recently coaching members of my team without showing them a score. So, when I'm talking about one of our big things is you got to give them the right answer. I'm not saying, all right, you didn't give them the right answer and you scored a 0 on this. I'm talking about, all right, you didn't give them a right answer. Here's the right answer that you will learn now to give them the next time. Or empowerment. Here's a little something extra you could have put into this interaction with the customer that would have potentially empowered them to solve this on their own in the future, not have to contact support again, that sort of thing. So that's what the coaching conversation is about, is actually like talking about the behavior that they did and then helping them learn how to do the behavior the way you want to at that standard. But on the back end, I'm still tracking the percentage of how they're doing on each of these behaviors and making sure that we're moving and progressing in the right direction month over month. So I think if you do those 3 things, I think your quality process will be a whole lot more meaningful.
Well, and as you're talking, I mean, for me, of course, a lot of these things make sense. And you and I, before we started recording, we talked about this whole mindset. What is the mindset of your QA? And you talk about purpose and injecting purpose and connecting with the organization. I think all those things are important. So for example, an organization that's focused on learning and development, would follow the path of not, showing that particular score, where an organization which has more structure and more regulations and, compliance, they may take a different approach. However, I would even say that even those organizations can still probably, separate out, the whole compliance element versus, the quality and call coaching element, because nobody wants to be dinged, as we like to call it in the contact center space for doing our work. And if the QA process has that type of stigma associated with it, you have to make sure that you're backing away from that if you don't want to create a burnout scenario. And if you don't create, and you and I even talked about, even with my kids, when they see the police car when they were kids, it would be like, oh, the police, something's wrong, or they're coming to get you, or, and I was like, no, no, no. What does it say on the side of the car? They're there to serve and protect. To serve.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, I kept saying that, they started having a different outlook and thinking about, police officers. And I think we have to do that with our QA process as well. It seems simple, but what do you want out of it? Do you want it to cause an engagement and buy-in, or do you want it to create, a divide and a fear, situation?
You make such a great point about the compliance stuff, Jim. We have that on our form where it's like, you've got to verify the customer. You cannot talk about their account before you verify them. And I can tell you, like, we set that as the standard, and they know that, if we compromise a customer's account, that's just so dangerous, and it can cause harm to the customer. It does not help us achieve our mission. And honestly, we're scoring 100% on that one, because I think people understand just how important that behavior is to the rest of the interaction and to the customer's relationship with our company.
Okay, so now there's actually been a transition. So we want to make sure that we close and cover this, because you weren't doing this. You implemented a new program. How far are you into it, and what impacts have you seen?
I am about 3 months into this. I know for me, at a face value, I enjoy doing quality because I really enjoy these conversations. We get to talk about CX with contact center agents, which is a lot of fun. What else? We've seen a small bump in our customer satisfaction for sure. 1-2%. We're already in the low 90s, so I'm pretty happy. But seeing it come up a percent here and there is great. So yeah, I think those are kind of the big things so far. And obviously, my manager and I, we get to talk often about, okay, what are our training priorities going to be for the team to just continue to empower and equip them to connect better with customers.
Well, and I dare to say that over the long term and long haul, you're going to see that it has a huge impact on, your entire retention rates as well as the referral rates. You're going to attract, better people as the organization continues to grow. So if you were to say, that there was one thing in this that you didn't foresee, has come out of it, what would it be, positive or negative?
Oh, good question. One thing that I didn't foresee. I think, as I may have said it already, but I think that I would actually like doing quality assurance. I never thought I'd say that.
Well, I mean, to me, it just makes sense. I mean, for somebody who, look, I say this all the time. When we go through our hiring process, who works in contact centers? There are people who care about other people and want to solve problems. And when you enable and nurture that, I mean, goodness be, you talking about that lift in customer experience that happens. Oh, and by the way, you're talking about a 1 to 2% lift. Even if you weren't in the 90th percentile, what people don't understand from a business acumen perspective is that a 1-2% lift in your customer sat scores is significant. People talk about a 10% lift. That's just ridiculous. And totally I mean, you can't say that that's an expectation that you would get. So small lifts essentially mean a lot. So congratulations to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay. So Jeremy Watkin, thank you very much for sharing your experience and knowledge on the CX Midday Spark. And we look forward to chatting with you soon.
Thanks, Jim. It's great to be here.